Welcome back. Today I'll be reviewing one of my favorite phone gimbals, and that's the DJI OM4. I know, I'm late to the party, but my goal with this video is to create a short and concise video so that you don't have to go around scrolling through a 40-minute video filled with fluff. We both know that time is precious and it's money, but I mean, if you want me, I could do a 40-minute video. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I mean, let me know. Anyways, let's get right into it. In the box comes the gimbal, a tripod stand, a magnetic phone clamp, a magnetic plate to stick to the back of your phone or phone case, a wrist strap, a USB-C power cable, and a bag to hold all these items in. And all of this will run you for about $150. Now you might be asking, do I really need a phone gimbal? I'm rocking the latest phone, and the stabilization on it seems to be pretty damn good when I'm holding it up recording things. Yeah, you probably don't, to be honest. You really don't need a phone gimbal. However, if you're looking to improve the quality of your vlogs or get more cinematic footage, then you definitely do need a gimbal. So let's talk about some of the features of this gimbal. Before you start using the gimbal, you'll have to register it with the DJI Mimo app. Ew, I know, right? But trust me, you're gonna wanna do it. Anyways, it's really simple to register and set it up, and once you're done, it'll be ready to use. I personally didn't apply the adhesive magnetic plate to my phone or phone case since I typically like to swap out phone cases after a while, and I was too scared to apply it to the phone itself, especially since my phone has MagSafe. Off the bat, I will say that I don't like that I can't clamp my phone in with the phone case on. It will grip, but not securely, so you will run the risk of having your phone fall and possibly get damaged if you clamp it on this way. So you will have to remove your phone case and clamp it on butt naked. Scary, I know. But the clamp feels like it grips the phone a whole lot better this way. I also like that it shows you which way your phone needs to be positioned when clamping the phone, so that there's no doubt as to whether or not you're doing it right. It also has these white dots that let you know how to align the clamp to the gimbal. It just makes life a lot easier. Once your phone is clamped in, press and hold the button labeled with the letter M for about 2 to 3 seconds. The gimbal will turn on, and the 4 lights on there will light up to show you that it's on and the battery level of the gimbal itself. The gimbal will work its magic and bring the phone up to its rest position. This is typically in the portrait mode position. From here, we just fire up the DJI Mimo app. The app will see that the gimbal is turned on, and it'll ask you if you want to connect. Once you connect, you're ready to go. Now let's say you don't want to record in this orientation. How do we change it? Well, remember the M button? Not only does it work as the power button, but also as the mode button. So double pressing it will change the orientation of the phone. Single pressing the button changes the mode on the Mimo app between video and photo. For now, I'll keep it on video. Next to the mode button, we have a joystick. This is used to move the gimbal up, down, left, and right. It's pretty straightforward, but let's say you've rotated your phone so much and now you want to quickly recenter the phone. Well, instead of using the joystick to bring it back to its original position, you can double tap the trigger button in the back of the gimbal. Double tapping the trigger will recenter the phone again, much faster than doing it by using the joystick. Triple tapping the trigger changes between the front-facing and the back-facing camera. Single tapping the trigger button, only when using the front-facing camera, toggles the tracking mode on the gimbal. We'll come back to this a little bit later when talking about the app. On the left side of the gimbal, you have a slider to control the zoom of the camera. This only works when using the back-facing camera. On the right side, you have your charging ports. You can either connect the USB-C end to charge the gimbal or flip the cable and use the USB side, but you will need a USB-C port to charge it that way, or maybe a block. Once you're done using the gimbal, you can fold it down. One thing I like about this gimbal is that there are these little slots that lock in the joints. So once it's folded down, everything is locked in and nothing is dangling or jiggling, except for maybe the clamp portion. And it's so compact that you can toss it into a backpack or your pant pocket if it's big enough. It's great. One other thing I forgot to mention is that there's this little screw hole next to the clamp mount that, from my understanding, is used for adding additional weight to balance out your phone. I'm assuming this is for the people that like to add lenses to their phone, but I don't know much about that. Now let's talk about the DJI Mimo app. To start, one of the main advantages of using the DJI Mimo app is the fact that you can control a few of the app's features with the gimbal itself. If you were to open up any other video or photo app, you'll see that the record and mode buttons simply will not work with them. You'll have to press the record button manually on the app itself, which could be a bummer if you plan to use third-party apps such as Filmic Pro or Moment, but it's not a deal breaker. It'll just require a bit of extra work. Hey, Future Paulino here. I just want to say,
did you see it?
I don't think I noticed this, but apparently in the Moment app, I guess the record button does work for it. This is new to me. I could have sworn that it didn't work. I feel like I tried it in the past and it didn't work, but hey, looks like you can use the record button using the gimbal on Moment. It'll work just fine. So moment. Kudos to you. That's pretty awesome. But anyways, I digress. Let's continue. Now back to the app. On the left side, you have a house icon. This icon takes you out of the video app and back to the hub of the app. Pressing the camera icon will bring you right back into the recording app. Below the house icon, there is a camera icon. This allows you to set your camera settings to auto or manual depending on if you want a little bit more control over the camera settings. Within the manual settings, you can set the ISO, shutter, and EV or exposure value settings. Below the camera settings, you can choose the resolution and frame rate you'd like to record at. The available resolutions are 720, 1080, and 4K, and the available frame rates are 24, 25, 30, and 60 frames per second. Right below our resolution and frame rate options, we have our glamour effect settings. This lets you smooth out your skin or make your face slimmer. I personally don't care for these settings, but if you're a vlogger or a beauty channel and want to hide some blemishes when recording, then this will serve you well. At the top right of the screen, we can see the battery life of the gimbal and the battery life of our phone, and a button to swap between the front-facing and back-facing cameras. But like we learned earlier, you can use the gimbal itself to switch between cameras. On the left side of the app, under the record button, we get our gesture controls that, once activated, allows you to begin shooting video or photos whenever you make a gesture towards the camera. And right below that is the button to see the recorded videos in your library. Finally, on the very left side of your screen are your modes. We know that with the gimbal you can switch between the video and photo mode using the mode button. And for the most part, the settings remain the same switching between the two. The only difference being, instead of resolution options in photo mode, we get timer options. The remaining modes are panel, which stands for panorama photos, slow motion, dynamic zoom, time-lapse, and hyperlapse. I won't get into too much detail as the app provides some pretty straightforward tutorials for using these modes, but I will be sure to demo them later in this video. Now, without further ado, let's see the gimbal in action. I'm sure that's what you've been waiting for this whole time. So, let's see. So when it came to walking, both handheld and gimbal, there wasn't really too much of a difference. They both looked pretty stable. But I do see a slight difference with the gimbal being just a tad bit more stable. Now when it came to running, there was a big difference. The gimbal was way more stable than the phone handheld. And it's pretty impressive because I was only doing a light jog and the phone just looked like out of whack when it was handheld, versus with the gimbal it was really stable. It was the same deal recording with the front-facing camera. You can't really tell the difference when it's walking, but when it's running, the difference is really noticeable. The panorama mode was actually really interesting. They had, I think, up to 3 or 4 different types of panoramas. They had a 3x3, which does like a 3x3 grid, and it makes sort of like a tall or square panorama. Then you get a 240 degree, which makes it really long. It was really fun to see just how long this panorama can get. Good luck uploading that photo to Instagram or something, but... Now my favorite mode in the panorama was actually the clone me, and I had done it wrong the first time. I didn't know why there was a countdown going, and then that's when I realized I had to run up and get into the shot to get the photo to look like there's 3 of me. It was really fun. I really enjoyed this mode. I didn't bother to do the time lapse since I think everybody knows what a time lapse is, but hyperlapses are basically just time lapses but in motion. And most hyperlapses tend to vary across different apps. So I just wanted to show you what the hyperlapse looked like. Now, I said I didn't care for the glamour effects, but I actually did have a little bit of fun making my face slim and then making it smooth and then making my eyes big. And I didn't realize that there were so many glamour effects to mess with. But if you love having smooth skin and adding additional effects when you're recording, then this is perfect. I, on the other hand, will not be using this feature at all, have not used it, and I'm okay with that. Now for the gesture controls, it was supposed to be either the 2 fingers or the flat like palm hand. I couldn't get the 2 fingers to work, but yeah, it's really cool. The follow track feature is very helpful, I think, and it comes in handy when you don't have anybody to help you film, much like I was that day solo shooting. So I apologize if I didn't actually record every single mode, but I did what was in my power to mess with some of these modes. The tracking and follow on this app is actually really good. For me running back and forth and trying to like juke it, it works just fine, and it was able to stay locked in, so. Slow motion was pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to show you guys what slow motion looked like. There was a couple other modes that I didn't cover, such as the dynamic zoom. I think that requires 2 people. I obviously was there by myself that day, so I only showcased what I could do that day. There was also a story mode in there that for some reason I thought was for Instagram, but actually I think they're just like templates, pre-made templates for you to shoot. But there was just so many templates to go over that I just kind of skipped over it. I went over the things that I think most people would be interested in, or that most people look for in these apps. But yeah, this gimbal and its app is jam-packed with all kinds of templates and modes, and I'm pretty happy with it. In conclusion, this gimbal is an excellent choice if you're looking to bump up the quality of your content. $150 seems like a steep price to pay, but it is a great investment. Now, if you want to save some money, you could probably get a used one, or even buy the version 3. I think the version 3 is like $20 cheaper, $30 cheaper. But the downside is you will be missing out on that magnetic clamp. And one thing I like about that magnetic clamp is if that you're getting a phone call, you know, or need to check something on your phone really quick, it's as simple as just popping it off the gimbal itself. Anyways, what do you think? Is it worth the buy? Are you planning on buying one? And if you already own one, what do you think about it? I would love to know. Anyways, I'll see you all again next time.